Welcome, everyone. We continue our series entitled League of Women Voters Empowering You, a program designed by the League of Women Voters for our community to provide unbiased, nonpartisan information on issues that are relevant to our friends and neighbors throughout the greater Dayton area. My name is David Bodary. I'm a member of the League of Women Voters and your host this evening as we discuss our topic, Empowering You, Voting in Our Vote Security. Our guest today is Jeff Rezabek. He is Director of the Montgomery County Board of Elections. Welcome, Jeff.
Thanks for having me back. I appreciate it.
Yeah, and that's right. You are back because we've done this a couple times, once just you and I, and then once with your Deputy Director.
That's right.
I'm glad you're here today. We're really pleased to have a chance to gain insight on the voting process during this current election season. And so while it's outside lovely in October, we're going to be in November very soon. There are often questions about the security of our voting systems here in Ohio, and we hear sometimes about concerns claims people make about maybe voter fraud or things like that. So my first hope is that you can talk a little bit about those issues, and then from there, I hope to have you remind us about our opportunity to vote in the upcoming election.
Sure. We are 3 weeks away from today from Election Day. We are already into our early voting process, and those that have requested absentee ballots, those are already starting to go out, and we're actually getting some of those brought back into the office. But on the security part, we do several different things with our equipment. We do a lot of testing to making sure when we create that ballot, it takes about 100 days to make a ballot because there are many security measures, plus we got to check everyone's spelling, make sure we have the right names, the right races. But some of that also is the security. We do several different tests on our equipment, our logistics and auditing testing that we do. Additionally, with that, we have what's called public tests, and that's where the public actually can show up and start asking us questions and watch us prepare the machines and the ballots themselves.
And so appreciate the effort that's taken, and of course it doesn't happen overnight. It takes some time to get there. Are there things that citizens need to understand, perhaps, related to this process, especially as it relates to perhaps concerns related to partisan issues?
Yeah, when we do the testing in which each of the ballots that we create, because in this election, which is a very big election for us, people talk about the presidential, this is actually our biggest election. We have, I think, over 600 different ballot types. So when we're reviewing the ballots or we're touching any of the machines, the one thing is there's always a Republican and there's always a Democrat. We are always paired up. You talked about my Deputy Director. They are the opposite party that I am, and we're always in conjunction working together on every event that comes in, whether that's working on machines, working on ballots, talking to voters, and so that is one of our layers of security. Also throughout the building, to get in and out of certain doors, we have swipe cards and we have actual keys, but to get into what's our tabulation room, you have to have a Republican key and you have to have a Democrat key, and they're only given to certain people, so that's another security thing. And as well, we have the cybersecurity systems up and running throughout the year.
And so I'll give you a chance to kind of bust any myths that you have heard people talk about. Are there any myths that you're aware of that people believe, but you can kind of say, oh, well, wait a minute, that is not at all true?
Yeah, one of the things that we have here in Ohio, we have a decentralized voting system. And so people always talk about that it'd be easy like to cheat and try and get the machines manipulated. Well, here in Ohio, we have 88 counties. There are a number of different vendors for our election management system and our poll books, okay? So if you're able to figure out which county has which poll books, and now you've got 88 different counties doing that, then that's the easy part, okay? The next part, then you have to get the Republican and Democrat in 88 counties to all agree to try and cheat the system. So they have to agree, and then they have to agree how they want the system to be cheated. Now, if you can get the Republicans and Democrats to agree on anything, let alone that, that's a step in itself. And even if you were to do that, we have many more systems, because what we also do after each election, and this is the thing that we talk about hand counting and all of that,
right.
We actually do a hand count. an audit after the election, after it's been officially certified. We do an audit at random selections of polling locations. We count a certain percentage, and we hand count those. My staff sits there and does that. It takes about a day and a half to do, and you sit there and count that. And that's another check of security and all that. So it is a big myth that it's I think our Secretary say, it's hard to cheat, easy to vote, hard to cheat. That's what we want to hear out there. And I think if the voters come in, the public comes in and sees the security that we have, a lot of those stories that you read on the internet, you'll find out are just them, good stories.
Right. Well, I appreciate that. And I know from our past conversations that there are those two people always involved in any security-related issue. So whether that means we're carrying USBs that are coming from a polling location, there's always going to be a Democrat and a Republican
Absolutely.
that are together in the car as those items are transported. And then when they are checked in, obviously, they're behind secure doors.
Oh, yeah.
And so there's lots of levels of security.
As those come from election night, I mean, it's not only, you were talking, we're matching up QR codes to make sure we're getting the right thumb drive back. From the polling locations. We're matching up the poll book equipment that's coming back. But even more importantly, I don't get to leave. My staff and I don't get to leave till we have all that equipment in-house that night. And that's, again, another security measure.
Back in-house, and so it's secure. Sometimes people are worried like somehow that, somebody is going to, use some network, cyber something or other to sort of like sneak in and change the vote. And my understanding is that the computers that you use, while they might be helping to tabulate, are not connected to the internet. Is my understanding correct?
That is absolutely correct. They are air-gapped out. We are very cautious about anybody going near those machines. They don't touch any thumb drives. In fact, when we go and get the data out and the tabulation out, we have to take it out. We have to send it up to the Secretary of State. Those thumb drives that we use are special thumb drives that can be used. They're very expensive, but they're a one-time use only.
Okay.
Because it never goes back into our system. It always comes out. And so that's one of those, again, another safety, security. It's air-gapped, nothing touches. Those systems have never touched the internet.
And so then when you report information to the Secretary of State, when final tabulations are done, how are those done?
Okay, so as you get from our election management system, you get the data out, meaning the results. Mm-hmm. We put them on a thumb drive that never goes back into that system. That then goes on to another computer, which it's the SOS computer, the Secretary of State computer. That gets that thumb drive, and then we transmit that data up there. There is another drive, thumb drive that we take that goes to our computer that reports to the public on our website, what's called our ENR, Election Night Reporting.
Sure.
That gets another one. But those thumb drives are never reused. And people look at it as, well, it's wasting, you know what computer it touched. It's not necessarily a waste. It is making sure our system is perfectly sound so that you can't have that jump from one computer to another and any issues.
Right, and that security becoming so essential to our confidence,
Absolutely.
but also to the outcome, the results, and our confidence in the results.
And that's why we always ask the people to come down and see our system. We'll show you everything. Can't touch it, but we'll show you everything.
Appreciate that. So the first step in the voting process in any election is to be registered to vote, and the opportunity to be registered for the November 4th election is already passed, but remind us of that voter registration process.
Yeah, you can register at any time. You have to register approximately 30 days in advance. This was the October 6th deadline.
Correct.
So even if you are not registered, I would encourage you to fill out that form and get it to us so you can be ready for the next election. But then the next couple dates that we're approaching are absentee ballot request forms. Mm-hmm. Those have to be into us by October 28th.
Okay.
So that you can get your absentee ballot in time. You then got to return that absentee ballot if you did request one by November 3rd, which is the day before the election, and then it has to be postmarked by that date. We do have to receive it by November would be the 8th, which is that Saturday, because it's 4 days after the election.
Right.
But other than that, you got some other dates of November 4th is Election Day. We do have voting right now for early voting.
Yes.
For the next 2 weeks, it is 8 to 5 down at the Board of Elections at the County Administration Building. The last week before election, it's 7:30 to 7:30, except Tuesday night, which is till 8:30. But we also have only one weekend of voting this year for this election, and that's Saturday, November 1st, 8 to 4.
Okay.
Sunday, November 2nd, 1 to 5.
Okay. So lots there, and I want to make sure that I've captured it.
Sure.
So I'll try to make sure I got it. First, to be registered to vote, you got to make sure that you do that. Now, registering now means that you are not eligible to vote necessarily in the November 4th election, but you'd be eligible to vote next time. Yes. Remind viewers that you need to be 18 by time the election occurs, but you could register to vote before a student is 18 as long as the election occurs after their 18th birthday.
That is absolutely correct.
And then moving on to thinking about absentee ballots, you do need to quickly request that absentee ballot so that by October 28th,
correct,
you've got that request in, and that gives the Board of Elections opportunity or time to mail that to you, and you time to then respond back with your completed ballot.
Absolutely.
All right, so what about military or overseas? Any challenges there?
We've already, we start early with them. We started at what's called day 46, that's our UACAVA date. And we already have transmitted those ballots to the military and overseas voters. We send them a ballot, there's a code, they send it back to us. They have to get that ballot back to us, of course, within that time frame of the November 8th deadline. As long as it's postmarked, we can do that.
Good.
But yeah, and let me jump back on the registration. If you happen to move into like Montgomery County, but you were registered up in Cleveland, Cuyahoga County, you're still registered to vote. Come in, you'll have to vote provisionally. We'll get you a good ballot for Montgomery County. You tell us your address, we'll get you to the right polling location. But then all we do is, as a provisional ballot, we then call up to Cuyahoga County, see if you voted up there. As long as you didn't vote up there, then that ballot does count down here. So as long as you're registered somewhere in the state of Ohio, and it has to be Ohio, and you've recently moved, make sure you go out and vote. It still will count.
Oh, that's good, and I'm not sure that I fully understood that. I know that my daughter is a recent college graduate. I know that she's registered to vote in Ohio, although currently she's not living in this state. Mm-hmm. So she would need to request an absentee ballot, and then that would be sent to her at her out-of-state address, and then she would need to make sure she leaves time to get that back before November 3rd, or I should say postmarked, thank you, by November 3rd, which is great. Are there other challenges people encounter, either in the process of requesting an absentee ballot or completing the ballot in a way that is satisfactory and is considered valid?
Sure, there are a couple things, especially if you're doing the mail-in absentee ballot. There's an ID envelope. Mm-hmm. You have to put your name, your birth date, either your driver's license number or your ID number or your last 4 of your social, and you got to sign it.
Right.
You have to do all of those. If you don't, we'll contact you and say, you didn't do all of those. We have to wait until you cure that. Same thing if you're at the polling location and have to vote provisionally for whatever reason, make sure you fill out everything in that form. Now, when it does say birth date, that's not the date of the election. It's your actual birth date.
You say that like maybe that's a common mistake.
It is a common mistake. We train our people to go through and double check each one of these things. The birth date and the signature are the common errors. If you're filling out a ballot for absentee mail-in or on either early vote or election day, you're doing what's called a manual ballot where you fill in the bubble. Fill in the oval. There's not an X or a check mark, and do not make extraneous marks throughout the thing, because if you happen to touch two ovals, then that may not count for you the way the machine will read it.
Right.
So it's really important to follow the instructions, fill in the oval completely, and if you do have any questions, please give us a call. The only other thing that to prepare people is on election day, if you're going out to vote on election day, get on our website, ask, or get on there and look at the voter lookup, check up your name, make sure you're registered. It'll tell you where you're going to vote, and you can also get a sample ballot.
And my understanding is if I were to log into vote411.org, I could also get that information. Am I right on that?
Absolutely, and at voteohio.gov.
Okay.
That's another good one. That'll actually link back to us or to the county that you're searching, and you'll be able to get all of that information. And it's good to do it in advance so you're ready and prepared. And you can even print up your sample ballot, search the issues, or search the candidates that are out there.
Absolutely. And while we're thinking about searching the candidates, I would just remind viewers that the League of Women Voters does provide a voter guide. And in that voter guide, the candidates, most have responded with responses to the questions that the League posed. And so you can read what the candidate has said themselves as it relates to the questions that were posed. And hopefully that gives you a little more insight than sometimes whatever advertising we might encounter that is either sort of, I don't know, sometimes it's a little vague, right?
Sure.
So this way you're getting to read the candidates' actual words of what they said about an issue or a topic or an idea. So I encourage you to access the League of Women Voters of Greater Dayton Voter Guide. That is available at many of our local libraries. Certainly, I know that it's available at the Sinclair Library because I stacked that box myself.
There you go.
And of course, it's also available online. You can simply go to the League website, that's lwvdayton.org website, and you will find the voter guide there in a digital form. You said something that I want to come back to cure, is that the right term?
Cure your ballot?
To cure your ballot. Explain what cure your ballot means.
So, and I'll just use a real simple one, is if you on election day go to your polling location and you don't bring your photo ID with you. I forgot it, don't have it on me, there's nothing else that we can use. They will still vote you provisionally, but they'll also give you instructions that you now got to come down to the Board of Elections prior to the 4th day after the election, so November 8th, in this particular election, and you have to show your ID, that you had a valid ID.
Okay, so
so that cures the ballot, and then it gets voted. It'll be then good.
This is a great reminder then. So when I go to my polling location, I want to make sure that I've got my ID, and that is my state picture ID.
Yeah, it can be your driver's license, a state ID, it can be a veteran's card, a U.S. government veterans card. The county veteran card does not work. And then you can use your passport.
Okay.
It has to be a photo ID. And the most important thing about being a photo ID, it has to be valid, meaning not expired. Those that have birthdays in October or very early in November, please look at if your license is expired or your ID is expired, because that's unacceptable, and that's one of the situations you would have to cure.
Okay, and so again, to cure, I would essentially have to resolve whatever that unexpired license and then bring the valid license to the Board of Elections.
Absolutely.
To demonstrate that I really am the person I say I am and I am legitimate to vote.
Absolutely.
Which is all about voting security and trying to ensure that the right people have the opportunity, but also then are demonstrating that they've met the expectations.
Yeah, and I'll tell you, we've had a great response from the public and the voters. Everyone usually has their ID out and ready to go, so it's not been a big deal, but the expired part.
Right. So, all right, let's say it's been a while since I last participated, or maybe the last time I went, they changed my polling location. Remind us of how do we find that again?
Yeah, easiest thing is if you got on the voteohio.gov or our website, Google Montgomery County, Ohio, because be careful, there's a lot of Montgomery counties out there. We always battle with Maryland. But get on our website, and it'll say voter lookup. Click on it, put your last name, first name. When it pops up, it'll have your name, it'll have your polling location and the address. And on the far side, there's a column that shows couple different things. One of it is your sample ballot.
Okay.
And look that up, and that'll help you out.
And I find the sample ballot is so helpful because that way when I enter the voting or the polling booth, I'm not surprised by something like, oh, I didn't know about that. So that way I really know what exactly I'm going to be asked to address. Let's imagine that I wasn't prepared to look at, I don't know, a judge or something. Do I have to vote in every category for my vote to be valid? You
do not. You can skip a race if you want. That's up to you. your decision how to vote. The thing would be very careful when you're looking at the ballot itself. When it says vote for one, make sure you only vote for one. Now, there are a couple races in mostly your city councils or your townships. Right. Sometimes it says vote for two. Then you can fill in 2 bubbles. Don't fill in 3. Now, you can also only fill in 1, or you don't have to fill in any. But it is where if you overvote, meaning fill in more bubbles than what's requested, then that particular race will not be counted.
I gotcha.
Everything else on your ballot, if you've done it correctly, will be counted. It is race specific.
Okay, that's really helpful to know. And while I think about this, we're talking about Montgomery County, but Greene County would also be part of the viewership. So it's possible that if somebody is looking, but they're living in Greene County, then they could go to the Board of Elections in Greene County.
Absolutely. Their Board of Elections and their website has the same stuff that we have. And they're very good out there what they do.
And they don't struggle with Maryland and Greene County either.
No, I don't know what they also tell. Well, because they got an E, so some of those Greene counties don't have that extra E.
Yeah, make sure you spell it correctly.
That's right.
All right. I think it's so important that people participate, and sometimes it's simple questions like, what if I don't fill in one of the bubbles, right? That they're like, oh, I don't know if I should or shouldn't. So is there anything else maybe that I've forgotten to ask, or anything else you can share with us?
Sure. One of the things that we've done this year, because we also believe that this year people will call it, and I don't like to use this word, an off-year election. And so we're trying to rebrand. We've got some T-shirts out there. We're actually trying to rebrand this election as our hometown elections. This year it's Hometown Elections 2025, and it says vote local.
Nice.
And the reason we're doing that is because we've started a campaign and basically saying these races and this ballot affects the voter more than even the presidential. Yeah, it's important for the president and all that. I absolutely believe that, and our other races throughout the state, absolutely. But here, you're voting for leadership in your community. Right. Tax levies, City of Dayton has the hospital question out there. There are so many important issues in these hometown elections. We need to get that participation up, and that's what coming on this show and thanking the League of Women Voters for all that you guys do down there to get that thing out there. The Board of Elections asked me the other day, what did I think our prediction would be? And everybody's talking low. I want to get it to 99% participation in a hometown election year. So we'll have hometown elections 2025 this year, and in 2027 we'll create some new T-shirts. But we want to get the word out that these elections are highly important. Please get out there and exercise your right to vote.
Absolutely. I have a sign in my yard and it says vote. Just please vote. Right? A democracy works largely because the more people that participate, right, the more likely then the outcome represents what the people want. And so if 20% of the population is deciding, that means 80% of the people may be really unhappy with the outcome.
Well,
and yet they had an opportunity to do something and chose not to.
Well, and I'll tell you, like in May's election, and that's an extremely low turnout that we had in May, there was a couple races in the Huber Heights decided 1, 2, 3, 4 votes. Your vote really matters in those elections.
Absolutely.
That's what we're trying to encourage people.
And the same with whether it's school board, city council, or whatever it might be. We do live in a democracy, and sometimes living in a democracy is messy. It can be sometimes even polarizing. Our democracy requires us to be engaged and active, not passive bystanders. It starts by becoming a registered voter and then continues as we educate ourselves to vote, and then really relies on our active participation in every election. So there's lots of work that still needs to be done as we continue to actively work in creating a more perfect union. I appreciate, Jeff, your efforts as it relates to what you do with the County Board of Elections. And just simply thank you so much for all that you do in support of our democracy.
Well, it really goes to my staff. I can't thank them enough. They're the stars.
I want to thank our guest, Jeff Rezabek. He is director of the Montgomery County Board of Elections. And I really enjoyed our conversation now for the third time. The League of Women Voters encourages everyone to participate in every election. And if you have any further questions, either about the upcoming programs that we offer, maybe about the election, or about where you can find a voter guide, please contact the League at lwvdayton.org or league@lwvdayton.org. You can also call us. The number at our office is 937-228-4041. Thank you both for sharing your time with us. And Jeff, thank you so much for
Thanks
sharing
for
your
having
time
us.
with us.